Well, it's turning out to be another hot and humid day across the area. It is Saturday, August the 23rd, 2014. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with southernindianaweather.com. It is a little after 12:30 here in the afternoon Eastern Time, and it's another hot and humid day with chances of some rain moving into the area. What else is new? That's pretty much about what we've seen, isn't it? Today's video update is sponsored by Metal Magic in Washington. You can give Chad a call at 698-8555 for all of your paintless dent repair needs. Folks, they're PDR Nation certified. They do a super fantastic job, so please give them a call and tell them Southern Indiana Weather sent you. All right, here's what we got right now. We've got a storm complex that's sort of out here. You see this is moving away, but we are expecting some development more down into our area. The National Weather Service has put out a mesoscale discussion here. This is not a severe thunderstorm warning. It might look that way. That'd be the largest severe thunderstorm warning you'd ever see. You know, it's not a watch or anything like this. This is what we call a mesoscale discussion. And basically what it is, it's indicating whether they think a watch is worthy or not. And what they're saying right now is the severe potential is low. Watch is unlikely in this area. There is a risk for heavy rainfall, frequent cloud-to-ground lightning, and the potential for strong winds gusts may begin to increase with storms overspreading this region this afternoon, which is what we're talking about. But the probability of a watch issuance is fairly low according to them, and I would agree with that. I think anything that we see today is going to be isolated in nature. We'll time this out on future radar here in just a second, but as we go take a look outside right now, as I said, it's a gorgeous day. Here's a live look at our Southwest Skycam, live look here from the Southern Indiana Weather Office, and you can see a sort of a partly cloudy sky right now. Again, we have those chances of some scattered thunderstorms this afternoon. Let's talk about the pattern at hand and what's going on. We have what we call a death ridge over the area. It's basically an upper level ridge of high pressure, and remember, winds rotate not counterclockwise, that's low. Winds rotate clockwise around here, and so what you've got is winds sort of being just kind of pumped up right to our direction, and where you've got this ridge of high pressure, you can expect really high temperatures. This is what's been responsible for our 90-degree weather. That will eventually break down as I put this into motion. You can see that ridge holds on here for a good portion of the week. Here we are by late Tuesday afternoon, and you see that ridge is just firmly still into place, but then that ridge starts to break down so that by Thursday and into Friday, that ridge is completely gone, and we go into what we call more of a zonal flow, more of a west to east pattern here with maybe just a little bit of waviness into it, and that's where we're going to stay for the next few days according to the Euro model here. So that will not bring us down extremely cool. We would need a major trough coming down out of Canada to cool us down, but that will certainly cool us back to normal. Normal high is 85 degrees. We're going to have a hard time getting 90 out of this whenever we come out of that. Now, the GFS ensembles are just a little bit different here, and it's a different map, but basically what you're seeing here is just the colors are the heights to help you identify the height lines easier. But on this, the colors are actually height anomalies, and warmer colors indicate a warmer than normal temperature at the ground is what it corresponds to, and cooler than normal in the cooler blue shades. Now watch this as we put this into motion here. That death ridge firmly takes shape, but then later in the week it starts to break down, and then by Thursday afternoon and coming into the weekend, watch this. Yes, it does continue to go zonal, but the height lines go down and we get a little bit cooler than normal pattern here spreading us before it starts to return to more of just sort of a normal pattern. So again, it does look like we're going to go back to normal eventually, but it looks like we might have a little bit of a cool snap to begin with, and we'll talk about that here in just a second when we talk about how low we could end up going. Here's what the situation is, just to give you an idea. We have a front that's sort of wavering back and forth into our area. So right now, it's sort of stalled out over Indiana and Ohio, but watch by this evening and into tomorrow, we get it to move here. It sort of just waves back and forth. It sort of retrogrades. It goes the opposite direction of what we would think. It's sort of a backdoor cold front. And then it sort of breaks apart, and then watch this. It pretty much dissipates. By the time, though, you get into Sunday, we've got another cold front that's going to move our way. This sort of starts to reform just a little bit again. And then watch this. By the time Monday comes, here you go. We go into the longer range. There's that cold front. And watch this. It moves closer our way as the week goes on. So again, what I want you to see out of this, all this pattern is this cold front just sort of stalls out, dissipates, comes back, dissipates. Eventually it goes away, and we've got a cold front later this weekend that will move down upon us. That cold front will eventually sort of just stall out in our area before it finally moves through, and that will bring us some cooler weather. than what we're seeing right now anyway, and that will bring us an increased thunderstorm chance. Okay, let's talk about those increased thunderstorm chances, because with one thing that you can note when we talk about this, I haven't talked about this a whole lot, but let me get back up to here. Here's where we are right now this week. We call this the ring of fire, and what this is, this upper level death ridge, is what you find is that right underneath of this, it's hard to get any storm development going on. Okay, storms like to sort of ride over the death ridge and move over. So there are going to be some days where our storm chances are fairly low, but still there. Okay, as it goes in, we'll have a better chance. But if I go back here, like for example, what we're experiencing today, right here we're on sort of the periphery of this. And so you notice that you have storms firing up here in Illinois right now. They're firing up right about in here. They're going to take a dive in this direction this afternoon, and that is because they're following along the edge of the line of that death ridge. And so that's essentially, with that death ridge in the area, it's going to basically leave thunderstorm chances in our forecast all week long, and those storms are sort of going to ride around the periphery of that death ridge. Of which sometimes that'll rotate right over our area, and sometimes that will be just a little bit out of our area. But that's going to leave a low storm chance pretty much for us all week long. We can see this on the Canadian model very clearly. Here's later this afternoon, and you see some of those spotty storms developing. This is accumulated precipitation. We don't have a future radar available on the Canadian model. I'm showing you Canadian, by the way, because I think it's been the most accurate lately, surprisingly. But what you can see as we go through this week is that we get little dots here and there in the area. So we're not expecting significant precipitation, but the risk for some storms are most certainly there. All right. By the time we get into later in the week, though, by the time Friday comes, we've got that cold front nearing our area. In fact, that cold front is going to move through on Friday night into Saturday morning, and we could end up having some significant precipitation out of this, and that will end up cooling us down in a big way. So let's go ahead and time this out on future radar to talk about what we can expect today. As I said, this is one of those kind of things where we can expect that. I'm stumbling over my words here. Sorry, I'm having a couple of technical difficulties. Hold on just a second, folks. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. Let me look at future radar here. Technology is great when it works. Let me show you what we got going on. Here are those storms that we saw in radar developing in Illinois. Watch how those push down towards us. Again, remember I said they follow that death ridge, so they're going to be kind of sliding to the southeast. That is exactly what we see here. And so it's possible that we could end up with a little bit of thunderstorm activity later today. We'll have to see how that goes and whether that happens or not. This is certainly not a guarantee at this point, but it is also at the same time something that we will watch out for. The risk is most certainly there. Tomorrow, though, it looks very much of an isolated in fashion if the thing wants to actually start to move anymore. You can see that we just don't have much developing at all, and that's why I've went with sort of a 20% chance tomorrow. All right, let's talk about temperature spread over the coming days, because that's going to be a big issue. Again, temperatures in the 90s are likely. We're going to stay in the 90s for the next few days, but then notice the slow cooling trend. So by the time that cold front ends up moving through, we've got some nice temperatures before it does end up rebounding again, and we end up with temperatures sort of in the zonal flow underneath of that again, into the low to even mid 80s at times. 85 is our normal high temperature for this time of the year, so below normal, of course, would be anything below that, but it looks like in the extended period, we could definitely end up seeing a below normal pattern here again, which of course would be a good thing. That is pretty much what we want as far as I'm concerned. All right, let's talk about next weekend. This is going to be a refreshing change of pace for us, folks. Alrighty, folks, my apologies for the jumpiness in the videos. I keep having technical problems with this darn computer today. We'll get it worked out, though. Here's temperatures for next weekend. I really want to focus in on this. Temperatures, this is going to be refreshing compared to where we're at right now. We got 90s in the forecast for a good deal of this week before we get into the 80s again a little bit later on in the week. But take a look at by Saturday. The Canadian model thinks we only get into the upper 70s for our high temperature next Saturday. And with a good deal of rain, that certainly would keep those temperatures down, although Saturday could look, I think, a pretty a pretty good chance of some rain in the forecast. Even the GFS is saying the same thing. In fact, the GFS only keeps us a high temperature of 73 here in the Dubois County area, 72 in the Evansville area, even up into the 70s, only near 70 up around Bloomington. So it's going to be a very chilly and wet Saturday from the way the models want to take it right now. Now, I will show you this just to be fair. The Euro thinks absolutely not. The Euro takes us back into the 90s, but the Euro is the one sort of out of far left field right now. The Canadian and the GFS are both indicating a very wet Saturday with temperatures in the 70s. And then, of course, we'll rebound up a little bit after that out of the 70s again, but it does look like low 80s are going to dominate the period after this. So that will be a refreshing change of pace as far as I'm concerned. Tropics are acting up again. Really quickly want to take a look at this. Invest 96L. That's just a fancy word to say the hurricane hunters are investigating the storm. It's not a tropical storm yet, but very much could be one. They've given it an 80% chance of formation in the next couple of days, over the next 48 hours, and a 90% over the next 5 days. The forecast models, though, don't really take this to much of an effect. You can see a handful of them want to swing it out towards either the Gulf or over here towards Florida, but by far the most of them actually recurve this out to sea. It's kind of a complicated pattern, and it's going to depend on sort of this upper ridge of high pressure and exactly how much it weakens and where it decides to weaken and position itself. That should eventually push it offshore, though I don't think this is going to be much of a problem for the United States. And of course, temperature-wise, I want to take a look at this before we end and talk about our forecast for the area for the next week. What can we expect over the next month? Again, above normal temperatures over the next 6 to 10 day outlook, and again, 85 is normal, so I definitely think that we're going to get an above normal pattern for the next little bit. Beyond that, though, the above normal temperatures are suppressed to the south, and the Climate Prediction Center actually thinks that we're going to go into a normal pattern around here. And of course, again, with temperatures in the low 80s, that's pretty much normal for where we should be. So I would agree with that. Do think that we'll see some days in the 70s, but it looks like low 80s after this week are going to dominate the pattern again. Will we see another warm up? That is certainly a possibility. Long range models are hinting at that. I won't really go into the depth of that right now. I'll just say that they're hinting at that. But again, once you get outside of a couple of weeks, it's very hard to have any degree of forecasting skill with them. So just know that the potential is there, that this may not be the last warm-up that we have. But the good news is this, folks, is the same exact pattern that we have been in since October of last year. Up and down, up and down. We go above normal for about a week at max. We just can't seem to stay above normal for any really extended period of time. Then we dip down below normal, and then we stay normal for a little bit, and then we go below normal and then up, and it's just a very trophy pattern in the jet stream, up and down with those dips, and we don't stay in any one pattern for an overly long, prolonged period of time. This is what made the cold, snowy winter last year, by the way, and this is what has continued to make the cool summer that we have had. Folks, I don't see this pattern breaking down. It's probably going to be a cool fall, and who knows, it could be even a very cold winter, and with snowy, another cold and snowy winter again, and it probably will if something doesn't break this pattern. Right now, it's going to be very hard to get a prolonged period of heat with the pattern that we are in. It's just the pattern that we are in and stuck in, and that's the way you're going to deal. We're just going to have to deal with it, folks. If you're looking for some hotter weather, I've got it for you this week, but it's certainly not going to stick around for very long. All right, folks, let's go to southernindianaweather.com and take a look at your forecast. Plan your day forecast takes a look like this for today. Sponsored by For Heaven's Sake Gift Shop. We're going up to the low 90s across the area today, 92 in Evansville, 91 in the Jasper, Tell City area, and then, of course, upper 80s. And that's because the Death Ridge is down here, so it's going to be warmer to the southeast and southwest, cooler up towards the northeast part of the state. And then plan your night forecast. We'll call it like this tonight. Again, chances of some thunderstorms during the overnight hours and mid-70s for your low. All right, folks. Tomorrow, again, there's that repeated pattern. We got a chance for an isolated stronger storm today, but I think some rain could be on the way. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, hot and humid again, about 90 again on Monday. But then take a look at that. It starts to cool off. That Death Ridge starts to break down a little bit. We're into the upper 80s for Tuesday and Wednesday. That cold front starts to move near us by Thursday and Friday. It'll pass through into Saturday morning. So that is what's going to keep our temperatures down. It's going to be cloudy with showers and thunderstorms likely. I've only given it a 40% chance at this point. Truly, my gut says more of a 60 or 70% at this point. I think it's going to be a good dousing of rain, but I don't like to put 60 and 70% chances this far out because there's too many uncertainties. But you can see it cools us down, and I would still think that 70s are most certainly possible for Saturday. All right, folks, that is it for this video update. Apologize for the jumpiness in the video. Hope you have a great Saturday. Get out and enjoy this weather, even as hot and humid as it is, folks. And be sure to check out our website for the latest updates at southernindianaweather.com. I'm Meteorologist Michael Wilhite with your Southern Indiana weather forecast. Have a great day, folks. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.